Well, last week I went to Tyntesfield, which is a National Trust property. It's just south of Bristol. And first thing I did, of course, was to go and have a cup of coffee in the old cow sheds. While I was drawing it, I drew this really complicated sort of beam system. It was held up with these cast iron poles. And then there was one bit I just couldn't quite work out. And then I realised that the beams are sort of cut in a bit, and then there's a secret hidden bolt, and there's a little bit rebated underneath where the bolt goes through, so the bolt is going through at an angle but not sticking out and making it pretty. It's a kind of a model farm thing going on there, but that is not why I went to Tyntesfield. I went to Tyntesfield because they were going to have the Sopwith Pup on display. It was just beautiful. They had a big tent up in the courtyard. Now, this plane was discovered in a barn 40 years ago by Kelvyne Baker, who bought it and has been restoring it lovingly ever since. And what was great fun was I just sort of stood in a corner drawing, and Kelvyne was kind of standing quite close by, and people coming in, talking to him and listening to his conversations. It was very interesting. He says he could probably get it flying very quickly, but all the civil aviation authorities have to check every last nut and bolt, and they really don't understand all this old technology. And he says he reckons most of it is kind of Jobsworth stuff going on. This part here has been covered in linen just to show what it would be like, but the rest of it hasn't been covered yet. So you can see all the struts and all the wires and everything that holds the whole thing together. And it really is a string and sealing wax thing. But the craftsmanship and the engineering on it is so beautiful. The wood, every piece is just perfect. And the aluminium cowl has obviously been sort of hand beaten into shape. And it's just a thing of wonder. And as I said to him, standing in front of it, I get exactly the same kind of whoosh, whatever it is, that I get when I stand in front of a Botticelli or a Bruegel painting. Now, one of the conversations I overheard said that the engine was lubricated with castor oil. And apparently all sort of rotary engines in the First World War were lubricated with castor oil. And of course, castor oil is where castrol oil gets its name from, castor oil. So castrol comes from castor oil. But what would happen is the engine would be going around, and the pilot would be covered in this fine mist of castor oil, which of course is famed for bringing on sort of movements, you might say. And it was sort of reputed that pilots on landing would be desperate to get to the toilet very, very quickly. And it is one of the reasons why they all have brown overalls as well. Whether that's true or not is something else, but it's a good story. Now, one of the lovely things was this little, the seat, which you can see inside here. And it's basically the pilot is sitting on the floor, and this is made from wickerwork, which of course is very, very light. Everything was about weight. Kelvyne said that all these kind of seats for aircraft were made at the Bristol School for Blind in the early 20th century, and he said somewhere there was a book which had all the designs in them, but it's gone. If anyone knows where it is, you know what to do. While I had my lunch break and sandwich, I went and drew. This is the roof of Tyntesfield here. And I didn't have room to put this little kind of golden cockerel sticking on the top. And this is kind of an end of the wing section here. And I just wanted to draw it with all the fine tolerances. Everything has to be really, really light, and so great big bits are scooped out to reduce weight. And even here on the main spar coming across, this hollow bit has been routed out just to make it that bit lighter. I have various conversations going on with old engineers, and they'd all be saying, "Oh, nobody can make this anymore. What would they do if they had to do this these days?" And I said, "Well, of course you just scan it and print it." And in fact, you'll probably find this kind of a spar now you could make in very, very quickly and simply out of carbon fibre or something like that. Graphite technology is much lighter, much stronger, but not quite as beautiful. Probably beautiful in its own new way. And this bit I loved here. This part section here is a flat which is going down, and you can just see here a little bit sticking down, which is which just comes up and is basically just tacked around there. Very simple, a bit of folded metal. So that comes down here. There's a wire comes forward around to a pulley, which goes through the wing and to the control. So as you pull here, it pulls the flap down. It's just so simple, it's untrue. Drawing the propeller was a nightmare. I found that really, really difficult. Someone on Twitter said, "Oh, you should try drawing a Henry Moore sculpture. They're really difficult." But actually, I think this is somehow more difficult because you kind of think you know what it is, but it's entirely different, and it's a very sinewy kind of shape. You do have these lines to help you. In fact, I was at Waddesdon Manor just recently, who've got a Henry Moore exhibition going on, and I found that actually quite easy to draw, because you just draw what's there rather than what you think is there. You think these are humans, but they're not. They're statues, so you draw what is there rather than what isn't there. And here I was sort of looking at his drawings as well. But here you think you know what is there, and even when you're drawing what is there, it's not quite what you think it is. What do I put? When you measure them, they're not quite how you think they are. Both are more narrow and broad at the same time, I've written. And I wrote, there is a kind of masonry among engineers. They come to see something like this and tears well up in their eyes. They use the magic words, the magic secret words like torque and oil pressure and priming, turning, precision. And then they're all lost in deep conversations while their wives wait by the door because they've seen this happen 100 times before. And all these sort of conversations about it were going on all around me. And so this is a kind of different one. You can see, yes, here, can you see the way that sort of comes in a curve all the way down there, which I didn't quite get that one there. And so this is kind of from a different angle, getting more of the engine in there. And then time was running out, so I came right in close to do the engine, and this beautiful, beautiful hammered out piece of aluminium, the cowling on the front. And I made these as a child out of Airfix models, so I kind of know this, and I keep coming across little bits of, oh, I know that because I kind of glued it and screwed it and painted it when I was young. And then there was a little model up on the ceiling, which I ran out of time, so I took a photograph of it, and there's a little sketch from the photograph. So that was my day at Tyntesfield, drawing the beautiful Sopwith Pup, and eventually this is probably going to turn out to be a Sopwith Camel, because I didn't ask actually what the model was. And let's hope one day it flies again, and in not too long. It's taken 40 years to get it this far. I hope it doesn't take too long to get it up in the air. Well, this is where I left you last time, and so what have I been doing? I've been doing these drawing every day, Shoo Rayner drawing every day. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter, and this was I did for freedom to think site.tumblr.com, and this is a campaign to let children not have to spend their whole time doing ballet and gymnastics and whatever. That it's okay to be bored every now and then. If you want to be creative, you've got to be bored, because you have to rely on your resources. You have to be able to do something yourself. If you're being sent to school, going off to after school clubs the whole time, everything is organised for you. You are never going to learn how to do things yourself. You're never going to learn to think for yourself, I'm afraid. So this was a load of stuff we were having. We were having sausages or something, I can't remember. And then this again is watching the TV, and this was kind of meant to be Penny. It doesn't look like her at all, because by the time I started drawing, she'd gone, the program was over. So I was doing it all from memory. And again, this is kind of based on Michael Caine in a Batman Darkman Rises, which was just the most boring movie. I had to go to bed halfway through. It was so boring. So it doesn't look like Michael Caine at all, but there are little elements, and each time he came on, I start drawing and he'd gone. And again here, and I've written the screen aspect ratio is all wrong as well, so it was all kind of squashed up, so it makes the faces look really thin. If you turn it that way, maybe does that look a bit better? Maybe not, no. So this is more doodling stuff. I don't know who that was. This lady doing the Sunday morning news. I felt she was having a bad hair day. When she concentrates so much on what the news presenter is, when you concentrate so much on what the news presenter is wearing and their hair and makeup, you forget to listen to the story. And then Jessica Ennis-Hill, she won gold. She came back to win August 23rd World Championships Heptathlon Beijing, which is my drawing for the day. And it's a little bit rushed, doesn't quite look like her, but I had to just get something done. This is Great British Bake Off again. And here you get these fleeting moments again. I had to draw them, but this is Richard Bertinet, who's a baker, Deborah Meaden, who is on Dragon's Den in the UK, and Josh Widdicombe, who's a comedian. Immediately after, I was watching Big Blue, which is kind of looking at sea life off the California coast. I just drew that sea lion-y thing. Doggerland, yeah. Doggerland is this bit between Britain and the continent, which was once connected in Mesolithic times, and is now where the Dogger Bank is. And it's just got me thinking about things. Life is a bowl of plums. This is my drawing for the day yesterday, I think, yeah. And then I went on to draw lettering plums. And then I went to watch University Challenge, which is a quiz show where they get people come from universities. And this time they had this group from Kellogg's College, which I've never heard of before, which is a college in Cambridge for postgraduates. So they're all slightly older students, and they got thrashed by 19-year-olds. And they're sponsored by Kellogg's, the Rice, the cornflakes and Rice Krispie people. And so in Cambridge there is a college called Corpus Christi, and so this college is known affectionately as Corpus Crispy, which made me laugh. I like that. And so I call them Clever Kellogg's, like Clever Kellogg's. And today, this is my drawing for the day. The Great Fall of China. This is the stock index going down and down and down and down and down. More next time. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And look, here's a little video of the actual plane itself. While you're wondering what to do now, why not try the mystery drawing? And click that logo. Make sure you're subscribed for lots more drawing videos on the Shoo Rayner Drawing channel on YouTube. And why not come and join my art school on Patreon? We're doing all sorts of fun things over there. Courses building up all the time. Only $3 a month. That's a bargain. In the meantime, keep drawing. Practice. And I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye-bye.